What's up, guys? Shuri here, and today we are going over the PTS. And to start it out, we're going over what is probably the best thing, which is the workshop, where you can turn in 2 of your med kits and get a repair kit for your armor. And it goes down the line to get more expensive, such as stem guns, which will take you about 5 of your health med kits to end up getting a stem gun. And then if you go for the better stuff, the elite consumables, you will have to spend a lot more. Only 5 will get you 1 auto med if you go for the lower levels, but as you can see on this level 2 cryo grenade, it takes 20 green grenades, and the higher levels and the consumables you get, the longer it's going to take. But you can go over that and see what all the timetables are. I'm not going over all of them. But basically, you can turn your lower level stuff into better stuff. So that's neat. And you can turn all grenades into other stuff. It's really nice. But we're also going to go over this. And it is the fact that you can scope shotguns now. One thing I hate so much is the buttons are tiny. This is a problem for me. I don't like it. I hope they change that, or at least make it an option. If you could make the option for the buttons to be sized, that would be amazing. But just making them this small, I don't like. But I actually do like this scoping shotgun thing. It's going to be annoying and it feels bad, but that's because everything new feels bad. Ask any player who's good with Orion. They hated it at first. They were terrible with it, but then they got used to it and then everything's fine. And this is going to be a similar process, I think, and you're just going to have to get used to how each of the guns work. And the biggest thing is that when you're up close, it's similar and almost the same, I would even say, as if you didn't have this change. You do very similar damage. It does have the spread a little bit more, but for the most part, it's really similar up close. The difference is, I think you actually can do more from range, because that scope gives you basically a larger range that you can do max damage that almost did nothing before. I think that this spread is a lot less than people think it is, and the shotguns can now compete better in the medium range, when before, other than Orion, you had very little to no chance. The biggest thing is going to be, as you can see here, I don't know my distances at all, so I'm just winging it and just guessing, so I'm ended up scoping way too early. But once you kind of figure out when you should scope and when you shouldn't, it gets a whole lot easier. So I definitely think that you guys are going to be able to do this and like it. It's going to be real rough at first, so don't be one of the people who quits after the update because it's a little different. Because it is going to be different, and that is unfortunate for that day or even that week. But after you get used to it, I think it's going to be a change you'll end up liking. This is going to be an unpopular opinion that you might not hear from other people, but I do tend to think more long term, and it is going to be something better for the game overall. It does infuse a bit of skill into the game, which I think is a good thing. A lot of people comment all the time that this game is point and shoot and takes no skill. I disagree. I think you do have to have good movement and stuff, but I do see where they're coming from. This can actually change that, and especially with Undying, how the game really is just run around with a shotgun and accidentally run into people and get lucky. This could change that, to be honest. It makes it to where you still have Undying that can strategically be used against snipers and is a good thing. I don't like it for this gun necessarily, but the good news is this was the worst thing they ever tried to do in a PTS in a previous version. It was so terrible, and they have cleaned that up, and they have done a very good job of making this a lot better. So it was really bad the last time I tried it, and I guess it was 6 months ago they put this on a PTS, and it was awful. They didn't put it in the game. I am glad. And at least they kind of figured out not to do that. So, it's good that they did that. And so, this version is way, way better and much more intuitive, I guess you'd say. And it's just a lot easier. The problem, especially with this gun, is if you don't scope, it can be very hard to get the circle to spin. And that can be a pretty big problem something that I think that is going to be really hard to use this. But Exorcist, until this last update, was terrible anyway, so I don't know. I don't know what to think about that, but I just know that I only could try 3 guns. It was the Might, the Porcupine, and this. It's all I had, and it definitely was good on the Porcupine and Might, but not necessarily on this gun. It still works, though, so I don't know. Hopefully in the final version it's usually a little more polished, so I guess we'll see. But it definitely is still usable, and I think for all the other shotguns this definitely works better, but it may be on a case-by-case basis for each shotgun. It's really impossible to tell until you see what it's going to do. But as you can see here, it still works with this gun. It just makes it harder than it was for basically the version that we play with now. But for Porcupine especially, this is a good change. And we will also get to pistols after this. But since they did have a big difference between the 3 shotguns that you could use, I wanted to make sure I went over all of them. Porcupine definitely got the best out of this, I think, because up close it's kind of the same, and from far away without scoping, it would have done about the same damage it did there, maybe worse, and as you can see, up close it does fine. But from far away, this gun can actually shoot and hurt people if you scope them now, which is a difference. And again, up close, it still works pretty good. And from far away, this has more medium range ability than it used to. As you can see right there, it definitely does do a lot better. It's going to take a lot of muscle memory to be able to get used to scoping when you need to and not when you don't need to. And once you get the muscle memory of it, kind of like with Orion, you can do it on a more consistent basis. And it will take time to make this actually feel good and be like something that's natural to you. And similarly to Orion, how it's so hard for people at first, but when they get used to it, it's all because you aren't used to it, because there's nothing in the game like it. And so this is going to have the same exact feeling, and maybe for every single shotgun. So it is going to be frustrating to get used to in the short term. But again, I think in long-term value, this is a good change. So it's something that I'm glad they're doing. I was not on board with the previous version they tried about 6 months ago. That was just trash. This is a lot better, and it seems like a system they worked on and actually put the time into to do right, which is not something I can say that I think of when I think of GOB and Game Insight. So it is something that I would definitely give the devs props on, because they wanted to do it, and instead of giving us a crappy version of what they wanted, they actually made a good one. So as far as that goes, I am glad that they waited on this and then put it in when it was ready. But the last change I'm going over is the pistols. This is having it manual, as you can see on the screen on the right side. It is a lot different. You can bring it out. I don't think it gives a speed boost, which is weird, but it is cool because with this combo specifically, you can start out with the pistol getting your bonus damage on might immediately, which is something that can be really cool. I don't know exactly how well this is going to work. And for normal stuff, I don't necessarily know that it's good. But for those of you who don't really like pistols, you can also turn it off, which is what it's doing right now. And this could be something that a lot of people want, because they hate the pistol comes out and you can't do anything with it. Right here is basically just that. I mean, it is the pistol being turned off where you're scoping in, getting some pretty long range damage. And right there, instead of actually having it go to a pistol, we are having it just reload. With might specifically, I would not turn the pistol off, because glory is a huge part of how might works. But it's all the same, and just for other guns, if you don't like how it will pistol when you reload sometimes, go ahead and turn it off. I prefer to have it on and on automatic, but if you like something different, go for it. I mean, it's really just another customization, and I am all for those, because it gives people what they want to do and will have people happier with their game experience. If you don't want to have pistol on, I would suggest playing with something similar to a scout, or, I mean, I guess an AR would work too. And if you ever run out of ammo, you just switch, just do it manually with a double tap, because that is going to be your best bet. Just having it, like, reload and get shot at is a very bad idea. So I would definitely suggest what you do is have something that's like a backup weapon and basically use that as a pistol. That's what I decided was probably going to be best for me when I used it, because I kept dying. So I basically have my scout as my pistol. So I would basically, if I had the situation like right here, I should have just went to my scout or reload. It's really hard to tell, and I guess it's all going to be situational. But at least you have the choice if you want it. So if you want to try the different techniques out, either play the PTS, or when it comes, you can do it. But there, I'm using my scout as a pistol. And it's just going to be something that, to everyone, it's going to be different. There's no right way. And the next thing is going to be the snipers. So now snipers, like every other weapon, no longer have damage being based on the distance they're at. I think this is one of the changes that every update's basically going to revamp a certain type of weapon, and I think this is part of what they're doing for the snipers. I think they'll probably have another update that will come after this one that will end up changing all the damage done by each of the snipers and kind of rebalance everything. Just my opinion, I don't actually know anything for sure. But a weird thing is if you no-scope people, it gives all body shot damage, no matter if you hit a head or not, and from every other angle, no matter what distance you're at, the headshot's at the same. This is going to be a great change for me. I'm not sure about everyone else, because it just makes my cooter stronger, so I'm happy about it. But I don't know if it's necessarily the best thing for the game. But I guess we'll see. It seems like an okay change, though, especially for a lot of the snipers. It'll basically just make them viable. But really, we're just going to have to wait and see how it goes. And then they also made some changes to basically make it where the gun is less on the screen, so you can see more stuff when it's hit. So that's cool too. I'll have another video that goes over all the videos that they put. This is just too long to add those, so I'll make another video tomorrow showing exactly how all of the changes from their aspects go. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this video and it was helpful, and I'll see you tomorrow. And thank you to all my channel members and people who've donated. I really appreciate it. It helps a lot. Thank you guys. Have a great day.